In this video, I'm going to be giving 4 tips on how you can stop comparing people on dates to your ex or to a specific person. So a lot of the time, people might feel like there's no point in dating. When I go on dates, I'm just comparing everything they do to this other person. And that can feel really disheartening. It can feel like, well, what is the point? Which is why I'm going to give you these 4 tips. But before I do that, I just want to take a moment to introduce myself. I'm Carly Ann. I'm an attachment and trauma-informed coach. And I support people that have anxious and or avoidant tendencies to move towards being more secure. So if you know that you have an insecure attachment, I absolutely believe that you deserve to have a healthy love in your lifetime. I'm also the founder of the Attachment Recovery Gym. The Attachment Recovery Gym is for people doing the inner work on healing the past and becoming more secure. All of the details for that you can find in the bio below. So now that we've said our hellos, which by the way, if you are new here or whether you are returning, it is so good to have you here. Let me now share these 4 tips. So if you're watching this, I'm very much guessing that it means there is someone, maybe there's more than one person, that's possible, who is on your mind. You're probably wanting to date, but for some reason you're still comparing to someone else. Let's take a moment to normalize this because, like I said, many people will mention this difficulty to me. So it's definitely not you. And the first thing, though, that I just want to check in with is for you to be honest with yourself, is just to say, are you ready? Are you ready to be dating? Is the reason that you're comparing to someone because you're not ready? Because you haven't perhaps done that inner work, or you haven't quite let go of what could have been, what should have been, or just checked out why it is that you're comparing to this person. We need that stage of like grieving and letting go, which I'll talk to you again in one of the other steps. But just to say, are you ready? And if you're going to ask me, how do I know if I'm ready? Only you're going to have the answer to that. But perhaps if you are constantly comparing, then maybe, I don't know, maybe you're not quite there yet to be going on dates. Maybe the wound is too fresh. There's not a right or wrong, but it's just to consider that might be why you're comparing. However, if it has been a really, really long time and you feel like you're just stuck in this pattern, or actually looking at your history that you're someone who does fall into these patterns, then yes, it could be that you are ready to date, but these patterns are habitual and it's that you would need to work on. Okay, the next tip might seem quite contradictory to tip 1, is to actually go on enough dates. Go on enough dates to break the habit of thinking or comparing to this other person and really notice where the comparison habit is showing up. So is it on certain areas? Is it a certain time? Is it about the date? Notice where it's been showing up, because you are going to want to be like experimenting here with new patterns, new behaviors. So if you go on enough dates, you might find that you're able to begin to break that old habit and introduce new habits. So whatever feels good for you, but don't judge it by like a few dates of comparison. Just make sure that yes, I've noticed that pattern. Now I'm going to continue dating, but I'm going to bring in newness. Newness can kind of squeeze out those older habits as well. Before I go on to the 3rd tip, I just want to take a moment and ask you to like this video and subscribe to this channel. The way that I am more likely and able to reach other people who are looking for this information or need this information is through this video growing and reaching them. And the way that happens, the way that YouTube pushes it out, is when more people like the video and more people subscribe to my channel. So I would be really grateful if you're taking any gems from this or any of the work that I do. I would be very, very grateful if you could like the video and subscribe to the channel. So the next tip to help you stop comparing to an ex or someone significant is, do you know what? It's around a very certain trick that our brain plays on us, especially after breakups or after something hasn't worked out with someone. And that is that we will focus on all of the positives about that person. We'll remember all the good. It doesn't, even if they treated us terribly, your brain will have this way of just thinking of all the amazingness of them on the date. And that's what we're comparing to. So what about the things on the date that weren't so great? And this is not about helping you adopt a negative mindset or anything like that. It's actually because it's our brain looking at those positives so intensely. It's actually about creating balance. Yeah. So we're not intentionally being negative. We're just creating some balance. So if you can begin to remember, well, why are you not with the person that you're comparing to? What wasn't so great? What do you deserve that you weren't getting there? What is it that wasn't there that you value or that you would appreciate or like to see? And as you can start to tune into that, hopefully that will mean that when you find yourself with someone new or going on new dates, you can bring that in when you're falling into that comparison, because that's what we want to do. We want to choose a different response. It's not that we're not going to fall into the comparison. It's that we're going to notice when it happens, and then we can just say to ourselves, oh no, hold on a second, because there was also this about that person that I'm forgetting right now. And that can be really, really useful to help us then return to the person in front of us. And the fourth and final tip is, there's no easy way to say this. Perhaps it's a bit brutal, but it is to accept that you're not with the other person, to accept that life has worked out this way. And that could be really, really difficult, especially if we go back to, tip 1 around whether you're ready yet. If you're not, then it's going to be that it might be really difficult to accept. You might not have reached the acceptance stage yet. There are phases that we go through when we're going through pain, breakups, or things not working out. And so if you're not there yet, please don't feel like, well, I must be there, because that's one of the tips that Carly Ann gave. However, if there is something in you that you can access and feel into that is like, no, I do really need to accept this now, because there is something in me that wants to be dating. There is something in me that doesn't want to compare anymore. Then accepting that life has gone this way, and that will mean letting go of the fantasies, letting go of the dreams, the ideas. And there are different ways that we can do that. There are different practices for letting go. It's not just a case of we'll just accept it and move on. But this is the tip, and obviously the video isn't about well, how do I accept? So the dreaming, the fantasizing, the living in the future, the living in the past, so much around what I do with people when I'm working with them as a one-to-one coach or inside the attachment recovery gym. It's about supporting them to live in the current moment. And so there's acceptance there. There can be acceptance when you live in the current moment. So there you have your 4 tips. Now, if this is something that you relate to, or you struggle with those tips, perhaps you've tried them or you're aware of them, and bringing them into your life and embodying them is really difficult, then I want to take a moment and make sure that you know about the Attachment Recovery Gym. The Attachment Recovery Gym is an online membership that supports you to get in touch with and exercise your most secure self. You can join this community when you have reached the point where you know so much of the information, yet being able to change and put that into practice is really difficult. You see yourself defaulting back to old, painful patterns. It's an online membership space where you can take everything that you've been learning. That includes all of the things that I'm talking about in this video and my other videos and on my Instagram. You can take all of that and you can put it into practice. If you have a reoccurring relationship issue or a specific trigger where you feel stuck, then fear not. The Attachment Recovery Gym marries 3 core components that are going to support you to be able to change and self-soothe in the moment. That is community, accountability, and education. When you become a member of the Attachment Recovery Gym today, you get immediate access to a library of resources and a schedule of classes that strengthen your secure self, just like you were working on your physical health, because that's something that I believe is really important. I hope you found that video useful today. Please remember to like and subscribe because it makes all of the difference. And I will see you back here very soon.